Rex, we start off with this, okay? If you told Donald Trump, I'm fining you $100,000, Donald Trump would blink. That's a lot of money for anybody. How does it feel when you get a message, you're fined $100,000, and how do you explain it to your wife?
It's not easy. But you know what? It's I did receive that fine letter, and guys, I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't think I'm going to get into anything else with it.
Your wife must have been chapped. That's why you don't want to get into it. I would have been upset if I were her. That's a lot of Christmas gifts. Oh. All right. So what did you do on the bye week?
I actually went down, saw my dad for a little bit, and so it was great. He's in pretty good shape. He's doing better, and he's been battling. Obviously, he's had a bunch of different bouts of cancer. He had a couple of strokes and everything else, but he's tough as heck. And but he was sharp, so it was great to see him.
Do you still bounce things off of him? Like, do you talk football with him on a regular basis?
Yeah, we talk football, but really, we don't really get into the X's and O's anymore. But if anything, he'd say the pressure more. So I already know that's coming. But he's obviously a huge fan of the Jets, and he watches every game. All
right, so Rex, what do you do on a day like yesterday when there's no game? Do you watch football, or do you get away from it?
No, I'll watch. There's a lot of guys that Bob Sutton, for instance, that was a great game. Seattle, Kansas City. I'll watch some upcoming opponents, whoever that be. But just watch it almost from a fan perspective, and maybe a little more than that.
What did you see out of Buffalo in the last couple of weeks? They had the Thursday night game against Miami, and then, of course, they blew that lead against Kansas City the week before. But, getting a chance to see them on Thursday, what were you able to pick up from it?
Yeah, it's interesting because, they've dropped 2 games, but both those games were definitely they were in both those games. And, in fact, you mentioned the Kansas City game. We know how tough a team that is. Mm-hmm. They really have that game in hand, but they had a huge turnover that really swung the tide of that game. And then against Miami, we had back-to-back opponents that were playing. Both defenses were outstanding, I thought, in that game, and they it was a good game, and we'll see what happens.
Do you play into the fact, Rex, that hey, we owe them one because the last time they played you, they handled you fairly easily?
Well, no, I think it was, we turn the ball over 6 times, you're going to get handled pretty easily.
Right.
So, we know we can't do that. We can't come close to doing that and expect to be a good Buffalo team.
All right, you had 2 players that got benched. One, obviously, was Geno Smith a couple of weeks beforehand, and then he goes into the bye and has to kind of sit and ruminate with it, and then the same thing goes for Calvin Pryor. So how do you coach up those players who had a week to kind of sit and think about what's coming up here and not get a chance to go out there and do anything to try to win their job back on the field?
Well, I think, you look at, especially in Geno's case, obviously he's one play away from being a starter. He knows that. He's preparing well. And, that's what he does. Calvin Pryor's going to play. It's just, will he start the game? I don't know about that, but he's going to get an opportunity to get back on that field for sure. So, it's we've done that to a lot of players in the past, and I think one of the best responses I ever saw was when Kerry Rhodes, we had Eric Smith starting, and he ended up getting 2 picks playing in a sub package. So hopefully that happens with Calvin Pryor this week.
Now, the thing I'm going to ask you next, to me, it's almost like advanced calculus. I don't know the answer. I'm just not sure. At 2-8, even if you win out, with the way the AFC is, you're not making the playoffs. So Geno Smith was your quarterback of the future 5 weeks ago. Michael Vick's probably not the quarterback of the Jets' future at the age of 34. When do you move Geno Smith back in to see what you have? And I know that you're coaching for wins as well. Is there a line there, Rex?
Oh, we're just gonna, for us, it's one game season, so we're gonna, everything we do is about this game, and that's where we're putting all of our efforts. That's where we're putting all of our energy, is to, playing this one game, and the rest of it is what it is. But we're just, we're just preparing for this one team.
But if you're going to lose, and nobody wants to lose, but if this is going to be a season where you don't make the playoffs, don't you also want to learn for the future and see what you have? And I know you've been a big fan of Geno Smith, and you believe he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. So if he does have a future, don't you want to see it in this kind of season, at least gain some value from a season that may not be going to the playoffs?
You know what? I think, I'm confident in Geno. I'm confident in Mike. And you don't know what the future holds. You make an assumption that Mike Vick is like one and done. Well, I don't know if that's the case. So, we're just going to play it out. We're going to play this one game, and that's the way we're going to approach it. Nothing past it. Nothing, further than just this 1 week.
This is a tough question to ask because I'm fond of you. I like you, and I think you do a good job. But do you think there's any way that you keep your job after having lost 8 in a row? I mean, do you operate under that assumption? I know you don't worry about it, but do you think there's any way you keep your job?
Well, I think I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about that. But, with me, I'm just focused on this one game. And, what happens down the road happens down the road. I'm just, all my attention's are on beating the Buffalo Bills. And that's where it is.
Are you curious at all? Like, if you saw Woody, would you ask him? You don't have to tell us what his answer would be, but do you get curious about it? Do you just ask to find out what might be the thinking?
See, I don't think that way. I just think that I know one thing for sure is that I need to have this team ready to go, and I need to be ready to go on, this week. I got to put together a plan that our guys can execute and feel good about. And go out and play Buffalo, and that's it. So, I recognize we got 6 games left, but in this season, but 100% of my focus is on the Buffalo Bills, and it's always that way, regardless of my situation, anybody else. This is what's important right now.
Rex, we thank you for coming on as always, and good luck this Sunday.
All right, thank you.